Hello and welcome back to another video. Today once again we're looking at Create a Club, and I've got another selection of 8 teams from another 8 leagues that we're going to be looking through today. On screen right now is every league that's in this video, and you might notice 1 or 2 have been in previous videos, but do stick around and check them out because they are a little bit different to the ones that I've included before. If you're interested in a league that wasn't on the screen just now, then make sure you check out one of the other 3 videos in this series where I'm going to do a team in every single league that's on FIFA 21 that you can actually use in career mode. Anyway, let's get started straight away, shall we? And we're going to start off in Poland. I know it's probably not the most popular league, but I did actually find a really interesting team for the Polish Ekstraklasa. Amica Wronki were linked to a stove making company called Amica, so they made a lot of white goods, so ovens, microwaves, fridges, freezers, that kind of stuff. So this team actually had the nickname of The Stoves because of their link to this company. Formed in 1992, they managed to get promoted 4 times in 4 seasons and did actually end up playing in the Ekstraklasa. They were a solid Ekstraklasa team. They won the Polish Cup 3 years in a row between 1998 and 2000. They played in Europe from 1998 until 2005, where they actually merged with Lech Poznan, another team that is actually on FIFA now. They finished 4th in their final season in 2005, so they were still a very functional team even in their final season before they got merged. They only got merged because the owner actually wanted to reach a bigger fan base, and Poznan is a bigger city than the club was already in. The club continued to function for another couple of seasons in the lower leagues, with the reserve team actually becoming the main team. They got disbanded shortly after and the team no longer exists, and that's why I think they'd be so interesting to select on FIFA 22 Create a Club. They've got history, they've realistically been promoted a lot of times in a very short amount of time, so you could actually say that they could have something like this happen again. Heading away from a big successful team who played in Europe as recently as 15 years ago, we're heading to the Scottish Premiership, where I recommend you recreate Queen's Park. Now, if you know anything about British football, Queen's Park might be a name that's familiar to you, and they're not actually related anything to do with Queen's Park Rangers in the Championship. Queen's Park actually are a team from Glasgow, similarly to Celtic and Rangers, so you've got 2 big rivals there if you want to choose one of them to be your main target. However, they were the last purely amateur team in a British league system. They used to play at Hampden Park up until 2 seasons ago, where they now play at a stadium called Lesser Hampden, which is basically the smaller reserve warm-up stadium that's next to Hampden Park, which is actually the Scottish National Stadium. Because of their devotion to staying amateur, it was actually really hard for Queen's Park to survive and get promoted up the league. Even when they developed players who turn out to be one of the best fullbacks in the world, like Andy Robertson, who now plays for Liverpool of course, they would lose him on a free to the Scottish Premier League on repeat over and over again. Their best players would just leave them. So recently, they decided to get rid of this amateur rule, and they became the last amateur team in a major British league by turning professional only 4 or 5 seasons ago. Because Queen's Park have such an interesting history, I think it would be a really good save for you to do on FIFA. So do check them out and try and recreate their iconic black and white hooped kit that you've seen on screen just now. Remaining in the British Isles, we're heading to the Republic of Ireland's Airtricity League, and we're going to be recreating a team that I have actually just mentioned in the Queen's Park part of this video. Belfast Celtic were founded on a team Celtic. You probably know them from the Scottish League. They're one of the 2 successful teams in that league. They were founded while Ireland was still unified, so I'm going to say that even though they were actually from Belfast, which is in Northern Ireland, you can put them in the Republic of Ireland League, but I know this is probably a very controversial opinion. I just thought they were the best team that you could recreate because the Republic of Ireland League doesn't actually have the best history. They withdrew from the Irish League in 1949, and they were one of the biggest 4 teams in Ireland. They won the Irish League 14 times, they won the Irish Cup 8 times, the Belfast Cup 11 times, and their reserves won the Reserve League 7 more times. The spiritual successor to Belfast Celtic is Donegal Celtic, who currently play in the 4th division of Northern Ireland. So if you are interested in actually recreating the team that exists, go for Donegal Celtic, but if you want to recreate the team that originally exists, go for Belfast Celtic. Because of the links between Belfast and Glasgow Celtics, then you should try and sign lots of Scottish players, lots of Irish players, and lots of Catholic players if you can identify a player by that, because that's the kind of player that this team would want to sign, similarly to how Celtic only signs Catholic players. Staying on the Irish theme, and it's a team I've mentioned before in my English Premier League video. London Irish, I think, were the most fun suggestion I came up with in any of my English League team guides. And I really do think the idea of signing only Irish players based on a team that already exists in rugby, I think having a team like this that you can develop both a club and a country at the same time is going to be a super fun opportunity for you. They're based in London, of course, so you can choose any London team as a rival, but if you're starting out in the Premier League, like I suggest you should with this kind of team, just because of the standard of Irish players, it's about a low Premier League team, then you're going to have to choose a team in the Premier League. So I'd recommend someone like a Chelsea, so you've got someone to develop up with, or if you want an easier time, go for someone like Fulham if you're starting off in the Championship. Just to make it a little bit tougher, I'd give yourself very poor finances and try and develop lots of Irish players through your youth academy, because a lot of the better Irish players, people like David McGoldrick, aren't actually that expensive. They're old, they've got short-term contracts, so you'll be able to sign them for a couple of million and you'll have an almost Premier League level player in your team already. Staying in England, and it's another team that I have actually mentioned before. Wakefield FC is of course the biggest English city without a team at any level. They are in a really big rugby town, so similar to London Irish, where they've got a different kind of rugby however that they like to play. They've got good rivalries in every single league. I'm suggesting you start out in League One because that'll give you a good opportunity to get some championship leveled rivals. Teams like Leeds, Bradford, Huddersfield, Barnsley, Doncaster. You'll probably be starting out with Doncaster as your main rival, and you'll be probably playing in quite a similar kit to Doncaster with red and blue stripes on a white shirt. You can copy the Wakefield Trinity rugby team's badge pretty easily in FIFA, so I would suggest you try and do this if you do want to try and recreate Wakefield. But I know a lot of people in the comments of my last video have done this challenge, different versions of Wakefield, because there is a team that exists on a really low level, so you can try and copy that, and I know a lot of people have had a lot of fun doing this save, so I do recommend you give Wakefield a chance and try and make Yorkshire have yet another solid championship level team. We've got two more teams on this list, and we're going to be staying in Europe for both of them. First of all, we're going to be looking at French second division. So this is a team I haven't actually made, but it is a team that a lot of people have already thought of. One of the most common things that I've seen people do on Creative Club is create a different Red Bull team. So you've seen Red Bull Manchester, Red Bull London, Red Bull Paris is the one that we're suggesting, but we've also got other ones like Red Bull Madrid that I've seen people making. Of course, the obvious goal is beating PSG to be the biggest team in France, and of course the biggest team in the city. That's the best thing about Paris, it's such a massive city that they would have the support to be able to support a PSG and a Red Bull Paris. You know, the city's about the same size as London, maybe a little bit smaller, but London has a ton of teams in the first and second divisions where that support is still really strong. So that's why I think Red Bull would be a really good choice. If you're going to do it anywhere, do it in Paris. Start out in League 2, give yourself maybe quite a bit of money and try and buy a lot of young players you can develop up while you get promoted. This is similar to what Leipzig did as they were in the second division and third divisions. They had people like Chinedu Obasi, they had Poulsen, very high potential players on FIFA, and they were really good as you got promoted up as well. So try and do this in France. There's a lot of French talent out there, and I think you'll really have a very fun save. Heading over to Spain, and we're going to be looking at Deportivo La Coruna. This is actually a save I do on my personal career mode. Playing in a blue and white striped shirts with blue shorts and blue socks, they actually won the league in 2000. That's the full League of Spain. They were the champions of Spain in 2000, and they've been runner-up 5 times since. They're one of the best teams in the league between 1993 and 2003, but they declined hard towards the 2010s, and now they find themselves in the third division. They've literally done this road to glory already in the past, so it's up to you to try and do it a second time. They have a pretty big stadium, 32,000 seaters, a huge fan base, and they're in a very isolated area of Spain. I think Lugo is the only other team that's in Galicia, so you won't have too many rivals, but you also won't have too much challenge if you want to be the best in Galicia. As I said at the start, this is actually a save I've done myself. I gave them the minimum money, I gave them the worst team, and I just tried to see how good I could get them to be. My main goal was to try and get 11 real players by the end of the first transfer window. I gave myself around £5 million and just saw what I could get and see if I could get a competitive team with that much money. It was very difficult, but it was actually a really fun challenge. So I do suggest you try and do something like this in FIFA just to try and make it a little bit tougher for yourself. Finally, we're heading back to Germany and it's Alemannia Aachen. This is my favourite suggestion of all the teams I did for the Germany video, so check out that entire video if you're interested in any of the other German leagues. Because their kit resembles a potato beetle, they play in yellow and black. Aachen used to be one of the biggest and most important cities in Germany. It's where emperors would be crowned, it was home to the biggest cathedral. A lot of money went through the city, but the city didn't really develop that well compared to places like Munich or Berlin. Alemannia have actually been in the top flight as recently as 2006, but now they find themselves in the 4th division where they've been since 2013. So that was quite a big decline in that 7 years, from being in the Bundesliga to being in the regional leagues in the 4th division. They've only ever been runners-up in both the 2nd and 1st leagues, having never won a league higher than the 4th division. So if you can win even the 3rd division, you never know, the fans might actually crown you as the new Emperor of Aachen. It's a worthy challenge, and I think Aachen are a very good team to be doing it with. So that's the 8 teams that I would suggest for these leagues. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, hopefully you found a team that you can use, and if you've got any suggestions for any of these leagues, as always, leave them in the comments below. I know a lot of these were actually repeated from my other videos, so if you did stick through the whole thing, then well done and thank you very much for watching this far, but my next 2 videos are going to be almost entirely new teams, so do stick around for them. They'll probably be coming out towards the end of next week. Subscribe if you liked any of the teams, like the video if you liked any of the teams, follow me on Twitter, message me on Discord. I'm happy to talk to you guys however you want to get in touch with me, but thank you all for watching, and I will see you very soon on the Geografifa channel. Thank you and goodbye.